Hello and welcome back. 2 of 16, James, the INTP, and Derek here, the INTJ. And we have a topic today about what we'll call respect. And you can also think of this as a retrospective for the last meetup we just had yesterday, where we are based in Seoul, Korea, and we had an MBTI meetup where people came and we shared our stuff. And it's been like the 8th or ninth meetup so far, and it's interesting. Running a business and running a meetup is very interesting because over time I feel it starts to get really loud. The things that just aren't really working, I guess, and that's what's that's what's been really fun and beautiful about these meetups. This is the 8th or ninth one, and I realized so. I actually went through many stages when it comes to monetization of the meetup, where at first I was like essentially completely against it. And then I realized, talking about and requesting monetization from the attendees is a way for them and us to be connected in a mutual way to set up a community that is self-sustaining, and they can contribute and they can be aware that this is a living thing, and we can work together as a community. So that was like the first step, the first level. And then yesterday I had another realization that I talked with Derek about this morning, where I realized I have a natural inclination to downplay the meetup itself. And I say, oh yeah, welcome, and it's not a big deal. You don't have to, what I said essentially was, it's our first meetup, so you don't have to contribute. But then I thought about more and I said, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Then why are we here? That's kind of the thought process I went to, where I realized, by downplaying the meetup, I'm also downplaying their attendance at the meetup. I'm downplaying the information that we're sharing with them. I'm downplaying our contribution, like everyone together. And if I were respecting the meetup, and that's the title of today's meetup, if I were respecting the meetup to the highest extent I could, like if I thought about this meetup as worth $10,000, then would I be talking this way about contribution? And I had the discussion this morning with Derek, and we could discuss more because, well, I'll share the first thought right now, which is the first step is at least to, without any hesitation, present the ability to contribute, and at the same time, and speak to it from that lens of, we're all here to do a great thing, and we know that this information is very valuable. And we would invite you to treat it with the same amount of value and contribute if you would like. So that's the thought process I've been going through. And let's continue that conversation.
Yeah, so first off, the more we grow, the more they grow. That's how I see it. So, first off, and for me, from the beginning, from the onset, I took a more hands-off approach, out of respect for you, in order to let you sort of experiment, so to speak, which was actually our original approach. Was this is an experimentation, which quickly turned into a business, but we already were in a business. We already had started our business, so to speak, with the podcasts, with the even when we started going to the other meetups earlier, or in the middle of last year to the end of the year, we had already begun. That was us doing our market research. That was us sort of collecting information from people. We weren't very direct about it, but we already had an idea of where we were going. Anyway, to speak to the value, that's why my approach from the beginning is different than yours. Mine is more plan ahead, sure, but also I'm starting always at the end and coming back. So I'm picturing us in this huge hall somewhere, maybe in a hotel or something, or just our own property, where just people come and and they get huge value from us, whether we're giving a talk, whether we're helping doing consults one-on-one, whether we have a whole team of people to help people. I see this type of thing. And so for me, it's like, even starting out, the venue is important, the location is important. We chose a pretty good location. I mean, we can't be everywhere at once. I mean, this is where people go on the weekends. And we also, that's why we adapted to setting up meetups on the weekdays as well, to sort of see, what types of people we would be interested in that. After work, maybe is maybe a good time to talk about this kind of stuff. And as far as valuing each person or valuing the group of people, I don't know if that's the terminology used, but that's what I'm looking at. Is yeah, I'm the same. Or rather, I was, I just think like the more we know, the more we present to them, the more professional it looks. That doesn't matter maybe to you, but like, these are just metrics. The more metrics there are that are at a higher level of sophistication, the more we present ourselves as we are credible, we have integrity, we know stuff, we are knowledgeable, we are intelligent, we want to, and we are excited. We're like, even the excitement in the activity, and having a good, well thought out presentation or a well thought out curriculum, or having something well planned out. While for someone who's just exploring, might not be of much interest to them. To a lot of people though, that means, oh, I feel respected. I feel like wow, they want me here. They really want to help me. I actually really have something I want help with. And now I have the confidence to ask for what I need or demand what I need from them. And in return, sure, there's an exchange of value in both directions. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what form that is. But up until now, we have had donations. We have had people bring food, and I'm talking homemade food. That's also a contribution. That's them saying, hey, I really value what you do. Here's a contribution, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Even the smallest of things. Someone brought, which you shouldn't have asked for, but someone brought us some plastic files that you requested, and just the small things like that. However, as you said, the more energy, I don't know what word to even use, like the more this ball of energy that I'm seeing, the bigger it is and the brighter it is, the brighter it shines. We shine, and the brighter they'll shine in return. And the more energy we give to them, the more energy they can bounce back, and the more energy that grows and attracts more people is what I don't know how that makes any sense, but
well, that makes complete sense, especially for the intuitives out there.
Yeah. So, how many points were there? There was.
Well, so okay, I'll just continue speaking from. Okay, I will share some other stories and things I heard in the past that are totally related to this, because I did take a Dan Locke's sales course. He's a YouTube person, and or maybe it was someone else. Anyways,
it makes him sound like not a human being. Yeah, he's a YouTube person, so just don't worry about him.
A YouTuber, and he or someone made the remark that when you sell, for example, like a self-development program, mm-hmm. and you charge a lot of money for it, then essentially what you're overcoming when someone has many objections is you're overcoming the person's low regard of themselves.
Yeah.
Like the higher they regard themselves, the more they will feel like, oh, I'll gladly spend $1,000 on my own personal development. Mm-hmm. And
they'll be more proud of it later. They'll be like, I spent $10,000 and now I feel great, everything's great. But it's like, oh, well, I'm only spending 10, so I shouldn't expect much. That's already going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like, yeah, exactly. Going the other way then, if I say, you can be a great person and it's worth $10, will you spend it? Then it's like, it's kind of like, oh, really? Like I'm going to spend $10 and you essentially, what I hear energetically, spiritually is, I'm asking you to commit $10 worth of yourself into this program.
It's also like if you said, and we can do it in 1 hour. Oh God, like I would run for the hills. Like, oh, that's it? Like, but I'm only paying $10, right? But that's not the point. Like, what do you expect to happen in an hour? If I told you, for $10,000 over the next 3 months, we're going to meet 10 times. And then we're going to also, and there's a bunch of other things sort of cooked into that, whatever, like lots of activities and things and just a lot of stuff, consultations, etc. I mean, that's an investment of time and money. The more time, the more money you invest, the more you feel like you get something out of it. I would hope.
Yeah, yeah.
Or your expectations.
I also think it's to use the word energetically again. I can think of it there, which is if someone goes to a 12-day or 1-month program and they spent $10,000 for it, then it almost like by force of just psychological belief, they will have changed because at least they did step 1, which is value themselves that much and commit that much time to themselves.
And I also, you question, what is the goal? Why do they want to do this? Why is it worth investing in? And if the goal is, well, okay, yeah, I'm complacent at my job, I'm not extremely happy, I make money, blah, blah, blah. Well, what is your drive? What are you trying to achieve? And, these are questions that people will come with and either not really know that that's what it is, or they know what they want, but they don't know how to get there. And so that's what they're asking for. And like the goal is what? It's we've talked about being a millionaire, but like it's not just being a millionaire, it's just like, what is your passion? What is it? We had like at our meetup yesterday, talking, and the person's like talking about what they do for a living and what they have done and what they're going to do. But the entire time this person was talking, I didn't hear anything. I heard this is just me, like everybody was interested. Oh, it was sales related. Oh, you're in sales. And I'm like, okay. But then I asked the question, I don't remember exactly how I phrased it. I said, she said,
but my dream is.
But my dream is. And I was like, whoop. It was like, record stopped kind of thing. And I was like, whoa, hold on. What is your dream? Or she said her dream. And then I was like, well, isn't that what you should be aiming for? And so.
And I think literally what you said is like, oh, now I want to hear this. Something like
yeah.
that. Now this is something that like I want to listen to.
Yeah, and my point there is we are there to kind of, we're the facilitators, we're guidance, we're all that kind of stuff. And so, I don't know how any one meetup is actually going to go, but my goal is I'm always listening, I'm watching people, and I'm just seeing how things go. We're talking about cognitive functions maybe, but like I'm just waiting for that moment where I can tell what direction someone's going to go, or wants to go rather. The same thing happened with our ESFJ friend. He was talking about his family, talking about his job, et cetera, and he actually kind of did ask directly what career he should get into. But I said, well, okay, well, what do you like doing? I already knew about this guy. I met him before. I was like, you're into meditation, you're into all this stuff. It's like, okay, so isn't that what you love doing? Like, if I hear the word I love doing this, or my dream is that, these are key words that tell me, then why are you in marketing? Why are you in sales? Now, of course, and I usually preface it with, well, yeah, in the meantime, sure, there's nothing wrong with working your way to that goal. I'm not saying just quit your job and go do that. I mean, well, you could. And ENFP might do that. But other types, types don't matter. So that's not for everybody. However, even if you're working towards that goal, a lot of people don't get there. And so what I mean by that is, it's this is where execution comes into play. A lot of INTJs, they're great at visions, they're great at strategy, they're great at planning. They don't execute on the plans. They get in that NIFI loop. They're trying to perfect said plan, and they're never satisfied. They never get anywhere, and then they end up changing their vision, which is then they just threw away a perfectly good option. And it wasn't that there was something wrong with the vision; there was no execution. So this is another area where we could be of service, and we would. I'm speaking for myself. I would really love to help people do that. I'm getting off the topic a bit.
This is great though, and what I hear and what you're saying right now is, I hear parent TE being like, make sure you do something about it, kind of.
Yeah, because what is TE about? It's like we don't want to waste our time, and the vision, your NI wants you to do that. It's like it makes no sense. Why are you? This is gonna sound pretty morbid. Like, why do you even exist then? What is your purpose in life if you have no purpose? You do have a purpose. Everyone has a purpose, but it's whether or not they're going to fill that role or not.
Yeah.
whether or not they're going to fill that role or not. I don't think that's proper grammar.
Well, that's
However, you get the point.
is it?
Circle back.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about. Okay. I had a number of thoughts floating in my head here. And first, I'll speak to what you just said, which is, yeah, like, why are you here? Why are you here? And I find that I find this idea completely fascinating. Okay, I'll go to the other idea first because it's in my head. When you price something high, let's say you price something so high that figuratively, symbolically, what the person is asking you to do is saying, or telling you to do, is saying, choose, like, are you willing to go all in on this? That's essentially what I hear in that price, and it's almost like the person stands up, holds out his hand, and says, "Do you trust me? Like, you told me that this is the way you want to go, and I'm going to take you there. Yes or no? Like, today is like do or die." And I think, in a way, that's a very beautiful question to ask, or beautiful thing to. Beautiful question to ask, because it is asking the person like how much do you value your experience in this life?
This feels like it's leading down the path of dark psychology. It's like, well, why don't you sign up today? You said you wanted to do it. It's like a sales tactic, but I don't know why I thought of that suddenly. Yeah, and it's not that. I feel like the energy there is important too. It's not that that we are trying to force or coerce someone to do something. I think a lot of the times, like even myself, it's like it really helps to hear someone say, "Hey, that's a great idea." If somebody said that to me, now, depends on what it is. That's great. That's feedback, and at least for me, with TE and all that stuff, and FI, it's okay. Well, that's cool. And so I feel like by proposing something to someone and listening to them and we hear them, we see them, and they're just not aware of it. They're kind of like, it's subconscious. That dream is there. They actively, and they're actually consciously aware of it even, I guess. But they don't really, like, I guess, I'm getting maybe too philosophical here, but like, I guess they just really don't think it's attainable. Because the opposite, like, logic is telling me, because if you don't actually work to actually get there, then it wasn't attainable, right? And so why wouldn't you do everything you possibly can to get there? Yeah, and of course, if you're thinking like, I only live once, like,
Yeah.
why let your dream slip away?
Yeah.
And so,
And what you just said there, why let your dreams slip away? I that's what I see as a very psychological aspect of pricing, which is saying like, okay, this is like a point of no return decision you're making, essentially.
Yeah, and so while that's frightening, that's also part of that idea of facing one's fears, because once you do, they go away. Yeah. So we're facilitating that as well. I don't like the word facilitate. Maybe I'm using the wrong word. It's like, it's a mutual thing. So like, that is being recognized. So there's a lot of things going on here. And I feel like the initial reaction still is like, for some people.
Oh yeah.
Especially, I would imagine, like, which I don't know if they'd even come to the meetup. Like an ISTJ is probably complacent in what they're doing already, perhaps.
Yeah, safety oriented.
But even those people, they have goals. They have what they want. Like, they want security. So if we can promise, okay, well, still they have dreams too. They want to retire safely. Yeah. They want to have a house. They want to have assets. They want to have a financial freedom so that they can just veg. I've noticed ISTJs really enjoy their free time, even though they love working hard and doing that kind of stuff. They really love just doing things that they're used to doing, like they like doing. They love tradition, of course, all that stuff. But also they just like relaxing. They don't want to think. They don't like stress. Well, who does? I mean, I feel like ESTPs welcome it, maybe, but and so this is for everyone, is what I'm trying to get at, essentially.
I feel like I might be speaking to a bigger idea than this meetup, but that's what I was thinking about, which is I'm viewing, I'm like live right now. I'm reflecting on the meaning of price, And I'll define it right here, which is I view prices as essentially votes on importance and decision making. Like when I see the prices attached to everything, you essentially go into TE mode and you say, okay, which of these do I actually decide under? Like which do I consider valuable, and at what level of priority? So that now I can't choose them all. What am I going to choose? And when someone assigns a high price to something, you're essentially making a big ask. You're saying, would you like to commit your life to this essential idea? And so I'm viewing it as a system of votes.
Well, I'm hearing commitment in that. And I think, at least for me, naturally, price, I hate that word even. It's like,
Okay.
I don't even think focusing on the price. Like, I want to get take their attention away from that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the value. What value are they getting from it?
Okay, there's that. Yeah.
And
yeah.
how much is that? Like, again, it's still price, but what I mean is, how much is that worth to you? I don't mean monetarily. I mean, like, in the core of your essence. And I don't even know how to put this in words. Like, if you're drawn to something, if you really want that thing, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
You know, even if it's something selfless. Like, if you want to help people, help them. You know, I mean, I'm trying to think of like an FE person, for example, or whatever. You know, I know INFJs, like they do a lot of spiritual stuff. They get into yoga, all that kind of stuff, and then they teach classes. You know, it's like, do that if that's what you enjoy. You know, you don't have to become a developer, or what is it these days? Everybody wants to be either a YouTuber, developer, or a what is it called on like Instagram? Influencer, or I'm saying everyone. That's not what I meant. It's just, yeah, I suppose that was a bit.
Yeah.
That was a bit. Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
That's not the majority of people.
Yeah, and I'm laying out the system personally. Like to go back to, you know, we were originally talking about the meetup.
Mm-hmm.
I explore this idea of price and of votes of value to go back to how I can regard the meetup, and when I introduce the donations, I can make sure, like, because you know, like almost from a sense of learned modesty, I wanted to say, oh, like we ask for you to donate, but you don't have to. It's your first meetup, and to go back to that, what I realized I was doing when I did that was saying, oh, today doesn't matter. What you just came to doesn't matter. It's as if you paid $0 today. You wasted your time. Like if you go all the way down that path of viewing everything as a vote of value and of decision, that is what I realized I was kind of doing.
And that's why I naturally don't do that. I naturally, from the first meetup, was like, okay, if we don't plan this out completely and like show up saying like, this is what we're offering you, then there's honestly, to me, no point in doing it. And I have no qualms with not even asking, demanding something from the person who's getting something from us.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like some people like even have tried to instill that idea in me. It's like, yeah, but you know, giving to people for free is good because then later you can ask them for something, or you know, it's just sharing this and that, or sharing wealth, sharing whatever. And I'm thinking, no. Naturally, I say no. And it's not just this capitalist idea. It's just what I see is if more comes in to us, we are able to grow that thing that that awesome thing we're offering you into something so huge, so powerful that you're going to get your money 10, 100-fold. You know, you pay me 10,000 and you get 1 million. That's literally 100 times that amount.
Yep.
Did I just do the maths right? And so you are literally paying $0 for $990,000.
Yeah.
For something worth valued that much. Let's just say everything we all, like you said, we value things, we evaluate things. That's a natural thing I would imagine that occurs whenever you make a decision, for example.
Yeah.
So that's why, again, I don't feel like, if I know in my heart that what I'm saying to that person, what I'm proposing, what my value proposition is, that's it. In fact, I believe they can make 10 million, they can make 100, and it's not about money. Maybe their goal is obtaining assets. Maybe their goal is opening their own business, which is a lot of people's, that's what I've been saying to people. It's like, if your passion is, even if it is sales, don't sell for someone else. Sell for yourself. Create your own product. Sell that if you're good at sales. In fact, eventually you come work with us because we're going to need people to do that, you know? And that's where also, and I'm getting off topic, where networking and all that stuff comes into play. You come to our meetups, we charge you $10,000 for something. You make your million, but also, you know, eventually we're going to, it all circles back potentially.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. And so there are levels to this I'm thinking about here. And I'll start out by talking about what I can do for free at the meetup, which is at least regard the meetup as if these people have, like, they don't understand what they've done, but they have come into a priceless meetup, one that will change your life. And we could easily charge $10,000 for, or, you know, something like this. At the very least, I can passively impress that upon the people coming so that they wake up to the idea, oh, I did make a decision today to come. And because I think what happens when something is free is you don't have to make the decision. And so you don't make the decision and you kind of like sleepwalk through everything you're doing. However, if you raise the price of it, then they have to decide consciously.
Think about the meetups we went to. I said the one we went to on Thursday, it's free to go to. It's absolutely horrendous. We did a lot of networking. It was a great night, but they allow smoking there. And I thought, that's because it's not worth anything. So it's worth so little that they're willing to even break the law, you know.
And no one had to choose to go there. I mean, they had to commit their time, sure.
And I don't think a lot of people took it that seriously. But when we went to the event at the hotel, I forgot which one.
Yeah.
We paid an entry fee.
Yep.
It was not a small amount, not a large amount, but it was an amount that spoke to me. That says, this is something. And you know what happens? You go there, it's clean, it's nice, it's a wonderful setting, it's a nice bar, everything's nice, no smoking, which is important to me. There were like, in my opinion, the quality of the people that showed up, ourselves included, because I even dressed up to go because I was like, you know what, everything's worth so much here. It's just like, this is great. I just feel something here, and I went, and it was a great night, and we met a lot of people from all over the globe, and a lot of powerful positions, if I may say, and those types of things that you wouldn't meet at the other one, perhaps.
Yeah, and I will speak to psychologically what I see happening is. If you said it was 40,000 won. If you said it at that, then people have to decide consciously yes or no. And then if you decide yes and you assign that much value to it, now you're going to commit additional thought to it and expectations to it.
Yeah, and actually your behavior changes because people now come with a purpose. I don't want to go to a meetup where people are just there, or it turns into some sort of like, let's find a date, or let's see how many drinks we can drink, or let's just boast about our jobs, et cetera, et cetera. Not everybody did that. I mean, there are people that are there with, I can tell, they're sharks or wolves or whatever you want to call them. We're there with a purpose. And I don't mean in a negative way. I mean, business to B2B, awesome. I love it. But less so than a meetup or a gathering, however you want to, it's not even a meetup. It's an actual networking event. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you pay money, so you're going to be, I feel like people are more active then. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. At least I think they come and they're like they want to get some kind of value out of the night because they already committed some money.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, even just funny. Like, there was a couple of girls that like they were there to meet a sugar daddy. They said, now I'm not making this up. They said it to me, so I'm not just like speculating. They said that's why they were there, and I was like, all right, because they said I looked rich, and I'm like, well, guess what? You're out of luck. I'm not giving you any money. So. That was fascinating to me. And like you said, hey, I had nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong with that. At least they had a purpose. And I don't know why I told that anecdote, but it was just funny.
Oh, that's fine. And like small other reminder I had in San Francisco, there was an event where the organizer used to have it for free, but then there would be like 10,000 RSVPs and 500 people would show up. So he started charging $5.
There you go.
And now the RSVP actually is real. Mm-hmm. So it's the same idea. And now tying it back to our meetup,
actually,
at the very least,
the opposite can happen. The meetup we used to go to was free, except you had to like buy a drink. They offered no value. It was value. Honestly, I feel like I lost value by going to it. And then suddenly they were like, you know what? they had a reason for this, and I don't care what it was because they're absolute garbage. They're like, we're gonna charge 2001 from now on. That's like less than $2. It's nothing. And a week or two later, they shut it down because they just completely screwed it up. They asking people for money after you already put in no effort whatsoever. You lied to people. They would put there would be like 60 RSVPs, and then 5 that were real. So 60 of them were fake. Who are you helping?
It's true. It's true.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
it's just I'm showing you the different directions that charging and all that stuff. Like there's a lot of factors that are in play, but it all comes down to the value proposition, in my opinion.
Yep.
And effort.
And I'm seeing some connection between pricing, value, and respect for people, and existing value. Because if it was worth 2001, then people would still come. But it revealed it like, the emperor had no clothes. It's like, like actually people weren't really getting much value out of this originally, and so they weren't willing to pay.
I mean, we're talking about a person that was already illegally, what's the word, like having foreigners come, live there, work, which they're not allowed to do, forcing them to work at the events, show up to the events. They came with the attitude of, and this is all speaking to the respect aspect, not the value. They showed no respect for the people, what were they called? Hosts and hostess. They showed no respect to the attendees. And I could tell that person himself has no self-respect. And so that's why it failed. It had nothing to do with any of the normal things that you would consider, like maybe location or this, that, and the other thing. It was perfectly fine. In fact, 50 to 60 people every Friday night come to that place on their, not for a meetup. Just they go there and they have a great time. The establishment is awesome. It's a really nice place to go on a Friday or a Saturday. But like you said, with respect, it was almost the opposite. It was just disrespect.
Yeah. I almost feel, spiritually, if they began with respect for the hosts, then I can very much see like a trickle down effect throughout the whole thing. Yeah. Like these hosts were interviewed and hired, brought in, gave like room and board, and then like the hosts would then take hosting seriously, and it would just be like this very self-sustaining, just like thriving whole environment.
Instead, they forced them to clean Airbnbs for them to pay for their housing, and on top of that, they had to just be warm bodies at an event, cold bodies, if you ask me, at an event. So, like you said, it all starts there, and it got to the point where every event I went to, I felt like I was hosting.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to come up with ideas and come up with things for us to do, and I'm thinking, what? I mean, that's how I am. I mean, if you put me in a dull situation, I'm gonna do something, or I'm gonna leave.
Yeah. And now I realize, going, I used to think, okay, these people are somewhat introverted, I guess. That's what I thought. But then I think I see now that they were feeling somewhat, what do you call it? Like they were forced to do it, and they were just sitting there as a mandatory thing, and that's what I was.
And that's why they weren't even like connecting with us that much, because I was thinking, wow, am I really that hard to talk to? No, they didn't want to be there. Now let me just be clear here. That was just that one location. They're still running it in a different area, like the other one. There's just because their turnout is they're still making a profit on it. So the whole thing still exists. It's just that particular location that we were going to, one of the locations is gone.
Yeah.
And eventually it will implode.
Yeah.
Back on track. Our meetup.
So the least I can do, this is an idea that's growing in my head. The least I can do is communicate, and stand behind the idea that this meetup is valuable, and they came to a valuable thing. They may not know it yet, but I will speak to it from that place, so that at the very least, step into that idea. And one of the things I can think of to say right now is, I mean, you are one of the select few that is looking to understand yourself better and improve upon your life, and really find that path to living your desired life. So I applaud you. I congratulate you, and I count you lucky for having found this information. Some kind of idea like that. Raising the perceived value of what we're doing, such that passively, I can see that I'm giving them the chance to decide that that is what's happening, at the very least. And then donation upon that is a further decision to say, this is also worth this much money to me. And like each of those things changes the self's regard of that experience, right?
Yeah. And so just to be clear, we're not trying to charge $10,000 for a meetup because that's how it sort of started to sound. We're just saying this is just a number we've pulled out of the clouds. But we are working currently on building products and things that we are testing out, and that we are making sure that they are, guaranteeing that you're going to get the value out of it that you times 10 times 100. And eventually that's what we will be offering. And it's actually the what are they called, early adopters, which are the people that are watching our YouTube videos, the people who are coming to the meetups, etc. People we meet even when we're networking. There's people we've talked to, I can tell that we are eventually down the line we're going to see again for different reasons and for really, really beautiful, good reasons. And that is what we're working towards. And when we get there, the people that were there first, they, in my opinion, get more out of it. And we'll offer more. I mean, for me, from a business standpoint, I'm always thinking of the people who are there from the beginning. They will get more out of this because I will offer them more. It's just, I feel like that makes sense. They supported us in our early days, and so they deserve to be, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't like the word compensation, but look, yeah, compensated. There's nothing wrong with this word.
Yeah. And I also think I'm becoming more aware of the idea that the world is a mirror. So the first people coming are taking a larger risk. They are committing more of themselves to the meetup as well. So
yeah, I'm glad you said
they will also get more out of it as well.
I wanted to say those types of things.
That's
it's
what you're
just
saying.
none of those words were coming. None of those ideas were. They're all in that package. It's like the risk is higher, and again, that's what I meant by I think like business. It's the same with if there's a small company that just IPO'd and they're on the stock market. You buy their stock. Why are you buying it? It's super high risk. It could be delisted. It could. A lot of IPOs. Sorry, I'm going in that direction. They go almost down to nothing, and it's just that's natural. But the people that were there first, if they really they're taking risks because that company could go under. A company like Tesla, it's like the golden company to look at. Was like the stock was $1. Like 10 years ago, you could have bought $100, even $100 worth of their stock, and now it's. They've done multiple stock splits, etc. But my point is, you could have put in very little with high risk and you could be a millionaire now. Is my point.
Yeah.
Long story short.
Yeah.
Not that the money is the drive. I'm just saying, like, you supported early days, you get rewarded.
Absolutely, and looking at it from the spiritual identity, just risk of self way. At that point. The reason I think the world works very fairly in that way. The reason why you're compensated so highly is because that's a huge decision to make. There's so much risk there. Yes or no? Are you going to put your money there? And then someone that said yes, and it turned out well. It's like, okay, well, here's your reward. And I think the person that made that decision can see a lot of themselves in the result.
Well, they will, especially if they become and let's talk about a privatized company, stockholder of a private company. They have voting rights.
Yeah.
That's the point. Like, you are putting in all that money and whatever. You're putting that much of yourself into it. You deserve to have a say.
Yeah.
And that's also why that's shaped that way.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this idea in many different ways, and I'm just waking up to that idea. Big picture, I feel, like if you're watching, you're alive, and life is passing by, and I view, like, at the highest level, what someone is doing with value and price and respect is, if I use the word respect, is you are acknowledging the fact that this person chose to be here out of anywhere. And it's like, wow, you made that choice. Let me acknowledge that and also raise that up as high as I can as a mirror so that you can also see that you are doing that. And I almost see this as like a vehicle of consciousness, a vehicle of awareness, awakeness, consciousness. And in a way that is what risk and price does to a person, where they are acutely aware of that of what you're doing at that moment. It's
acutely or unconsciously?
Acutely aware,
Okay.
and conscious.
Conscious.
So if I say, would you like to invest? This could go to zero tomorrow, or it could go up 1,000%. When you make that decision, it's like, ooh, now I feel alive. You know,
Yeah.
Now this is the stuff that life is made of.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been exploring that idea, and
But that being,
at the very least, raising the perceived value of what we're doing is the first step.
yeah. And that being said, I just imagine like now looking at all the types of people in the world, not just the types that would want to invest in a direct way. Like I said before, there's a lot of different ways. The smallest amount of help is noticed by me, at least. I see what people do. And so while I might not directly acknowledge it at that moment, or I might not return the favor, so to speak, right away.
Mm-hmm.
So I will acknowledge something, but I keep it in my mind. I keep track of what people contribute. And then, of course, same thing. We will, or at least I hold them in a higher regard. So I'm at least holding them up in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And
which they will unconsciously absorb. I personally feel.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it's just a mutual thing. It's just a back and forth, because they hold us up, we hold them up, and so on and so forth. Or they hold someone else up, or we hold someone else up. Like by holding us up, we can hold someone else up. So maybe that person's in a good place. And the best thing they can do, the thing that makes them the happiest, is to contribute however they contribute. And then we then do what we do, and that we contribute to someone else, and that can make someone happy as well. I imagine ESFJ or an ENFJ would like that.
Yeah.
Put simply.
Yeah. The other thought I was having is I personally see this dynamic of price and self-worth and decision in the latest thing that I've been committing a lot of my funds to is books. Mm-hmm. I've been spending a lot of money buying books, and I had this unconscious sense that this is something worth doing for myself. And each time I click the purchase button, before I click the purchase button, I get a long period of hesitation, because I ask myself, like, oh, is this worth it? But see, the question, is it worth it? And then asking myself, well, what do you want to do with your life? What path are you going? Is this the path you are going? Then click it. And then I click it, and the money that I put in that pile, I see as a vote for myself and the decision that my life is going. It's like a form of respect.
Sorry. The way I see it is, if you even subconsciously, whether it was conscious or subconsciously, put that item in your cart, you were meant to buy it.
That's the way you see it.
Yeah. Now, the things that I don't buy, or the hesitation, is usually just, do I have the money to cover this kind of situation? But let's just say you're not thinking that way. The way I see it, anything I've put in my cart, I want it, or I know I need it, and I know that it's there for some, so the hesitation just, for me, it doesn't matter, because, or rather what I mean is, even if I find myself being hesitant, I say, well, Derek, who put that there? There wasn't someone else. No one's forcing you to buy that. There must be something in you that's telling you you want this.
That's fascinating.
Now, does that mean it's justified 100% wholly? Of course not. But, sorry, I say of course not, but no, it is. That's what I mean. It's like, the whole point is, like, whether it is just for a hobby, whether it's for your purpose in life, it doesn't matter. It's in your cart for a reason. And reasons are important. Now I'm getting too off of the path here. But I
great.
think I could have just stopped with, if it's in your cart, buy it.
I hear you are continuing the conversation about respect. It's like you're respecting your
I'm
own.
respecting myself, my needs, my wants, and what makes me happy. Doesn't mean that what's in your cart is always for you. Maybe it's a birthday gift for someone. Maybe it's a birthday gift for someone that you aren't close to, and you're like, oh, I don't know, is it socially acceptable to buy this? It's in your cart. Buy it and give it to them. Worst case scenario, what are they gonna do? Hit you with it? You know? Oh no. Nothing can harm you by doing that.
This is fascinating to me because it totally changes my regard of the final call before a customer decides to buy a high ticket item, high ticket, product, because there are certain programs out there like an academy or something. It's where it costs $5,000, and in order for you to purchase it, you need to have a conversation with someone that will talk you through like whether you'll buy it or not. And that has me think about like the fact that they're on the call is kind of like they already put it in their cart.
That's why I don't consider it pushy sales for someone to say, you told me you want this. You're here. You're at this call. So why are you hesitating? And they say, oh, I'm so. You know what? I do. Like earlier in the conversation, but then later, 5 minutes later, like, well, let me think about it and I'll get back to you next week. My reaction to that is, but what is going to change? You said you want this. You know you want this. This is what you want. It's going to do this for you. Why don't you just buy it right now? Next week is no different than now. Now's the time. You're here, like I said, on the call. So why don't we just do this? Why don't we wrap this up today? Get it over with. Earlier I called that dark psychology. It's just, I feel like it's that I know, again, it sounds like it's pushy, but like I said, it's in your cart. You want it. It's what your life is pushing you, or your psyche is pushing you in that direction for a reason. There's no reason to hesitate. Of course, I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. If you really can't afford it, like, then a salesman's probably, well, you can't afford blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into that. But like,
but you can.
I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have got on that call. If you couldn't afford that item, you wouldn't be there. You've already put it in your cart. You know you want to take that risk. Again, it's risk. And you are certain that the outcome will bring back 10, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, or whatever it is you plan to gain from this. Plan, whatever words you want to use. Insert word here. It's in your cart. And so having that call, I feel like, is a guiding. It's literally someone just moving, so you don't have to take the hard step. The hard step is push, like you said, the purchase button. If I were sitting next to you and your hand's on the mouse, I could like guide your hand and click the button for you, and it would have the same result, except you wouldn't have tortured yourself for the amount of time that you normally would have. You still end up with the thing that you were going to end up with. I see things, and I have stuff in an Amazon cart from Japan, for example, that I have yet to buy, that have been there for several years, but they will be bought. It's just, there are priorities. They're not very important things. But I know, I've learned that mentally, when I want something, I seem impulsive. But when I want something, the decision has already been made. I don't make the impulsive purchase though.
Yeah.
I will still make the purchase later. But the things that I know I need right now, doesn't make any sense to wait. All I'm doing is wasting my own time.
Yeah.
And that means I don't respect myself.
Yeah.
Etc.
Yeah.
I always had etc.
So it's becoming more clear to me what they meant when they were saying all the objections that a person is putting in front of that product that they already voted that they want, that they're interested in, they're looking at. That is a low sense of self-worth. I mean, I'm not judging that. I'm just saying that they don't view themselves as worth investing that much money.
If I may share one more opinion here on that. There's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with asking questions. If you're still not certain, you're on the call, you want it. There's still connections. There's still holes missing. You can ask. May I have a testimony? If you haven't already had testimonials, then well. But you just want more proof. There's nothing wrong with that, because that is the job of the person that's on the phone with you as well. It's not all just, I'm here to help you push the button. It's in your cart. You want it, but guess what I also do? If I purchase something that I want and I find out it's defective or it's not what I asked for, it's going back and it's coming back with a vengeance.
Okay.
I will be angry. And so whose fault is that? Sure, it's mine for not doing my due diligence, just like it's the customer's job to do due diligence. You purchase a home. You have a certain amount of time to check out have someone come in and check all the pipes and et cetera, right? That's called due diligence. You get I believe it's a week to 2 weeks. Depends on the country and real estate market. But anyway, due diligence. That's on the side of the buyer. The seller doesn't actually have to tell you the truth, really, but you can ask seller questions. And it's the same thing. You ask the person questions. If that person doesn't answer you, well, guess what? Take it out of your cart. That's okay too. It's just my opinion though.
Yeah, and what I hear in that is you make sure you're buying what you think you're buying.
Yeah.
That's really
If you're trying to buy a book and they send you a raw fish,
it's like, well, I decided to buy the book, but they sent me something that I didn't want to buy.
No.
So that's what I hear in what you're saying.
so there's nothing wrong with being cautious. There's nothing wrong with doing due diligence. I don't even want to phrase it that way. It's not a matter of nothing's wrong with. Do your due diligence. Ask questions. Make sure you're getting what you're asking for. And I request the same thing from anybody who comes to us for help. Make sure you're getting because we only want to sell to the person who wants what we're selling. At least, again, my opinion, the way I'm going to handle my business is always, I am selling something. I'm not here to trick people. I'm not selling snake oil. I hope not. And if it turns out I am, let me know, because I don't want to sell that. Just like I don't want to sell someone on MBTI or on this, that, and the other thing, or any product that isn't what I'm trying to sell. Just like I would not expect someone to purchase something from me and get something they didn't ask for.
Yeah. So, a thought that is coming to me about the meetup is that I can carry with me in essentially every word, or like the attitude that I embody during the meetup, is the phrase "value yourself."
Mm-hmm.
Value yourself. I value you. I value the decision you made today.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't doing that. And I'd like to just keep having that marinate in my mind.
And like I said, or I don't think I said in this podcast, but at the meetup, I started towards the end of the meetup. I believe I asked questions like, "Why are you here?" But what my point? My point in asking, "What are you looking for?" is exactly the same thing. If you're here to get tips on how to improve your baseball swing, or how to swing a bat, well, then you've come to the wrong meetup. If you're here for what we are offering, excellent. If you're not, I'm going to tell you, or I'm at least going to talk to you about, okay, well, again, maybe they don't know what they want. This is all what I'm getting at here is, that's why I'm hesitating, is people don't always know what they want too, but they know they need something because of the business we're in. Of course, if you need toilet paper, you're going to buy toilet paper. You need toilet paper. What type you need, etc., that's different. But when you, I love these examples. But when you are uncertain, sure, you are uncertain. And so you say, well, this is what I think I need. And then again, we can evaluate that, or we can negotiate and talk it through. I mean, and I think that's where consultations are really useful. What was I getting at there? Just to make sure that what we're offering is what they're looking for, and vice versa. Because it's the same thing. We also are getting something from them, whether it's in the form of payment, testimonials, feedback. Feedback is what we're looking for right now. We're early days. I'm not going to lie. We're in early days. We want feedback. I want feedback desperately. Mm-hmm. And so the more of that we have, the better we can serve people. It's not, what are we going to do with feedback? I can't do anything. It's literally there to make the product better, is how I see it. So there's no harm in that. I mean is, it's great stuff.
And you can trace, you can trace that back to respect. Like, I want to make sure I'm providing something that will be worth your time. And so show us how to make that happen.
Yeah, and I'm wondering now, is it because I respect myself that I just naturally am respecting the person in front of me? That's why I'm asking these questions. I'm thinking, I don't want to waste your time. Because my introverted feeling says, I don't want you wasting my time. So I think that's why I naturally think that way and behave that way. And so, yeah, and I feel like I'm glad I did that at the end, because otherwise I felt like sometimes I feel like the meetup's like, okay, they've learned something. That's great. That was us giving them value for free, and undervaluing ourselves, et cetera, as we've discussed. But I'm also thinking, really, why are you here? Is what I mean, I don't feel, it's just funny. It just sounds weird, but like, that's what honestly, I'd rather ask them as soon as they walk in the door.
That's great.
So that they don't, let's use our time wisely.
Yeah, and I can see that is the perspective that FI can provide, that as an FE inferior I was not looking at. And now I think I see a lot of your behaviors kind of falling into focus now, and I understand what you're doing, because everywhere you're going, you are expecting to be respected, and you respect yourself highly, and thus you will speak up when that's not happening.
Yeah, because I've had people in the past, I don't know when it was the last time, saying like, "Oh, they felt like I don't love myself. Like you have to love yourself before you can love someone else." And it's like, I was a little bit depressed at the time, but I don't know what my FI was like before that and after that. But all I know is, at this juncture in my life, I hold myself so highly that, yeah, that's why I treat everyone in that way, and I do expect it. And I expect it of others, which I suppose is unfair. Expecting other people to treat other people the way they want to be treated, etc. That's a little bit mixed up for me, and that's probably where I'm almost trying to. I was gonna say that could be me trying to FE, but it's not. It's just me trying to sort of enforce FI on other people. So yeah, but I've been with people, and I'm going off base again, that have, for example, the service industry.
Okay.
I've seen people mistreat people in the service industry, or just expecting things like from low paid workers. And for me, it's like, being someone who believes in merit, when I see someone doing their job really well, I respect them so highly. But if I see someone doing the same type of job for the same pay and not doing anything, they make me upset. When I'm just saying, I don't respect them. Because like you're probably thinking, or rather, like you've said earlier, they probably don't respect themselves. And that's probably why they're behaving that way. But I'm not going to show them respect. What I mean, I'm not going to be rude right now. I'm not going to be rude, but I'm not going to go out of my way. Whereas if I see someone really working hard, having a hard time, I'm going to just chill out. What I mean is, like, even if my expectations are really high, like they're providing a service, so I want something, I'm paying for something, but I value that thing much more highly when it's given to me by someone who is putting in the effort and, of course, achieving results. If I order a coffee and you give me a beer, I'm going to be upset, trying hard or not. But again, this is just me on an NI tangent, but I feel like it's a similar vein of what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is completely on topic.
I'm on topic.
We're talking about respect.
So, yeah, I just don't know what point I'm making. I'm not trying to brag, or I'm not trying to say like other people should do this. I guess I'm just explaining maybe an INTJ's point of view that has a high regard for himself, and I believe that's FI speaking.
And I have questions about that.
Oh, please.
Which is, when that person is working really hard, authentically, I'm curious about what part of that you appreciate. Is it like, oh, thank you for doing that for me, or is it more, I respect your respect for your position?
I'm an old-fashioned. I value gumption. No, I believe it's part of that thing with INTJs and INFJs, not INFJs, ISFJs have happened to them. ISFJ does all these things for you. They're not asking for you to say anything to them in return, but they do want it desperately. They want you to acknowledge that they helped you, because an ISFJ will give everything in their existence to you and forget about themselves. But there's nothing that makes an ISFJ happier than a compliment or a thank you or a whatever, acknowledgement of this almost sacrifice in a lot of cases. For me, I feel that every endeavor I take on, I give 150% to.
Yeah.
And while it might not be the best idea or the best choice or whatever, when someone can appreciate the effort, and when someone can appreciate the results and can say something to me, I feel really, really good. And so because I know how I feel, even if you might think it's such a mediocre or just such a low position in society, I don't see it that way. In fact, I'm the kind of person that will judge someone higher in society for doing nothing very poorly. And I will not respect, I do not give people respect because of their position in society. You could be, well, I have to be careful a little bit, but if you could be the president, and if you act like a jerk, or if you're just a useless human being, this is just, in my opinion, I'm going to treat you the way you treat yourself and the way you treat other people.
Interesting.
Not disrespectful. What I mean is like, I'm just not going to go above like just being cordial.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone's working really hard, I appreciate that because I do the same thing and I know how hard it is. I sometimes sacrifice my health and my safety to do what I do. Again, I'm not looking for like pity. I definitely don't want like, whoa. I'm just saying acknowledgement is really awesome. It feels really, really good. And FI loves it. And that helps NI feel like, okay, I'm doing something, I'm making progress. And so now I'm going to come up with even better vision. You know, it's so motivating. And this reminds me of Thich Nhat Hanh, the late Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk who says a smile, like every person he meets, he would smile at. Why? Because if you smile back, or even just receiving the smile, you feel something, and you're likely to spread that to someone else. And so that spreads positivity. I believe was the concept.
I see.
And same thing. One last thing is when I acknowledge someone working hard, I feel like I'm not. I don't. It's not me. I'm just saying. Do you realize what you're doing? Do you realize how well you're doing?
Yeah.
Take a moment. Take it in. Gratitude, appreciate, blah, blah, blah. Just feel good about what you're doing. You serve a purpose. You are helping people. Just acknowledge it. End of story.
And I think actually a lot of people would need to hear that because they're not thinking about that. And then you saying that can really like have them hear it and wake up to that idea. It's like, oh, I'm not just this cog in the machine. I'm here too.
Some people are, but what I mean is if you don't value yourself, or if you're just, I don't know, maybe they already like, yeah, maybe they just want it. Maybe that is their dream to be a cog. I don't know. Is that a possibility? I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, FE is less aware about this whole idea of self-value. So, but also in what you described, I hear empathy. Yeah, I hear empathy. You see yourself in that person, and so it's almost like you're regarding yourself highly when you regard them highly.
I think it's still technically logical empathy, because I am really just, oh well, this because of this that, but it's still empathy. So I agree. And like now I can't help but think about people. Okay, I'm gonna be careful. When people victimize themselves, it's like they don't respect themselves. I can't do this because of that, or this person is stopping me from doing this, and I'm oppressed because of that, and et cetera, et cetera.
I see.
While I'm not claiming that there aren't people out there trying to make your life miserable. Maybe not. Let me just go down this thread here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if you value yourself and you respect yourself and other people around you, I feel strongly that you can overcome it, and in fact, you will overcome it, and you will just blast. You will rocket past them. And it won't matter. You're out of there.
Yeah,
they don't exist to you.
If I may say, well, and they talk about this in many spiritual teachings. The reason that you can hear them is because to some level you agree with them.
I'm sorry, me?
The people victimizing this person, and then them acknowledging it and using it as leverage against themselves to hold themselves down. They are participating in the relationship.
That, or I mean, I'm almost saying like people are victimizing themselves. I don't think anybody's even doing anything to them. They're just, I don't know, like why. I'm sure I can get to why, but I'm noticing that there are no outside forces occurring. They're almost manufactured by self.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Was what I was actually speaking towards.
and that's a very spiritual. Like these are kinds of ideas that I've been studying a lot. You point to something very big there about
So it
the
sounds like
source of
something
everything.
we should definitely revisit.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I do find fascinating is I don't read. I mean, I don't read spiritual anything.
Oh yeah. Well, let's yeah.
I feel like I somehow am just naturally that way.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
And I feel like you are too, but you really want to like understand all of it, and that's really cool.
that is the path that I connect with the world.
Yeah.
If I'll just introduce one relevant quote that I think about from time to time, which is Neville Goddard said, "The world is you pushed out."
Yeah.
The world is you pushed out.
More or less.
And so everywhere you go, you see yourself.
Yeah, that's why I tell people, like, you realize the things you're saying, the complaint I do the same thing. I say it to myself. The complaint you're making now is that the thing that you are somehow feeling that person is or embodying is just a reflection of yourself and what you don't like about yourself, or what you'd rather change about yourself, or that you know is not authentically you. And those are the shadow functions, shadow properties rearing their heads. And that's why I say we should do shadow work actively, not inactively, not as it happens. Of course, reflect afterwards. That is part of shadow function, or I call it shadow work, is you did something you didn't like about yourself. Or sorry, you did, like, I yelled at you because of something you did, and that thing that you did was actually something I do that I don't like or wish I didn't do. Just recognizing that later, reflecting later, is the start to doing shadow work. But then there's a few more steps after that. Like, try to actively not do that, or ask yourself why, or try to figure out which cognitive function was that, etc., etc. Again, that's something I guess we could go into depth more in the future.
Yeah. And I think.
So what
I think
value did we get from this conversation? The value, or just from yesterday to today, in the retrospective, now we understand much more the dichotomy between you and I, and how we approach the meetups, how we can better respect the people that the attendees, but also ourselves. Like, you have all this knowledge and all of these ideas that you want to share. So talk it up, like, or what is it called? Like, upsell it,
Value it highly.
Yeah. Your hesitation to click the buy and the sell button is unwarranted. It's the same concept. You put it in your cart, you want to buy it. You're putting it in their cart. What I mean is, you're pushing the idea forward. Why would you be like, here you go, and I don't know. It's just like, this is worth a lot, and I'm going to tell you why. Let's go. Are you ready for this? Boom. And that's powerful.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that the relationship is opt out. Like, if they say nothing, then they just accept what you just said.
There you go.
And then they value it.
I'm more likely to, if they're too silent, I'm going to ask them something. But like that's where I come in. I know where to put myself. I can tell when someone's just like, nah, I'll let them go too. Opt out, like you said. It's not for everyone. It makes sense. In fact, I can't, I want to end the video, but I'm just saying, I can't stand when people try to sell me anything. Because if I'm not putting it in my cart already, that means I didn't want it. There's nothing for you to sell to me. You don't need to stop me at Costco and ask me if I want to change my phone plan, even though I just started one a month ago. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't need to stop me. In fact, I'm not going to respect you. That's their job. That's not their fault. Well, it is their fault. They took the job. Anyway, opt out. If you don't. Same with our videos. You don't like us? I'm sure there's a better couple of guys you can hang out with. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Okay.
James.
Good episode on respect, James.
Derek.
Yeah.
See ya.
See you next time.